Okay guys, I came out of retirement for a very special piece. This is Statue Hunter 75 here with the review of the PrototypeZ Street Fighter model kit or statue kit of Sagat. This is the completed kit which I paid a painter, Ed Bradley at Shelf Candy Studios to paint for me. And I'm going to go over everything here, and I'm going to be totally unbiased. And I'm going to go over all the pros and cons, and I'm also going to do a comparison. Me being an avid Street Fighter fan and a big supporter of Eric Sosa's sculpts. I love Eric Sosa. His work is amazing. This is sculpted by Eric Sosa from his company PrototypeZ. And you could, we'll get into all this, but I'm also a huge fan of Jerry Macalusso's Pop Culture Shock Collectibles for Street Fighter. And I'm going to get into a comparison of 3 different versions of Sagat to give you an idea of the costs involved for you new statue collectors that don't know much about the industry and stuff, and what goes into a kit and like a assembled statue that you just buy from like Pop Culture Shock Collectibles or Sideshow Collectibles, a statue manufacturer that's, sells it to you ready, all assembled. You don't have to pay a painter or anything like that. And an older one from back in the day, Soda Toys, which also used to be owned by Jerry Macalusso way back when. This is a very older statue. I don't have the exact year, but I'm gonna, this is kind of like paint job wise, it's going from absolute one-dimensional worst to, decent middle of the road, to, amazing. You get what you pay for with the shading and all the extra, coloration of the veins and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, middle of the road has some vein color too, but I mean, you could compare the shading and the scarring from a prototype, not a prototype, a factory production piece to actual, painted by a professional painter. There is a big difference, but we'll get into all this. I'm not here to slam any company. I fully support all 3. But when we get into the numbers of everything and the cost of everything, I'll tell you what, I avidly collect. And if I was a new statue collector, what would be worth your investment. Just because it goes from very expensive to middle of the road to, cost-wise I'm talking now, to the cheapest you can get. So just to go over these 3, I have a horrible setup here. My statue cave is kind of a mess, but I'm selling statues and stuff like that, so I got boxes everywhere. By the way, I got a couple of, we'll get into that. I'll tell you about statue sales later, but this is for the review of this right now. I'll do the review first, and then we'll get into, the comparison of the 3 pieces and different paint options and stuff of that nature. But just to review this guy off the bat, it's freaking amazing. The pose is very dynamic. The base is cool because it's kind of a mix of the plainness of like a Pop Culture Shock Collectibles base with a little bit of 3-dimension to it, and then the statue. So, I can definitely appreciate that, and the dynamic, ness of the statue, with the flames. He's in the middle of throwing his tiger flame, Sagat fans out there, as opposed to like, a museum pose type thing. So that's another, cool thing and innovative thing that Eric Sosa's doing, but it comes at a cost as well. So we'll get into that later once again. But back to the review. Let's go with the plain head. Ed Bradley did a great job of, magneting everything, and the paint is just impeccable. It's exactly what I wanted. It's everything I asked for, and it's pretty. The shading is pretty flawless, and when you see the head on, you can barely see a line. I mean, it's not that bad for a magneted head that isn't hidden. See, like what Pop Culture Shock does is they hide the head and the magnet with the jawline, which is good. I might have just screwed up my my little headband there on Sagat. But as you can see, you can well, you do still get a line in the back. So I guess that's unavoidable with a bald person, you know, who doesn't have a shirt over it. So, but we'll get into that. So actually, in taking that into consideration, the line isn't that bad at all. Did a pretty good job. Look at those veins. My God, that is amazing. I'm gonna take the more. This is the plain angry face head, and let's take the screaming head, and let's get a real good look at this. I'll put this on for you to see. And the magnets are very good, so I did a great job with the magnets. Now, this is an amazing job. It's one of the best paint jobs I have on a statue, but it did come at a length of time to wait, too. So you have to take that into consideration. It takes painters a lot longer to do a special piece like this than it would to, you know, yes, it takes like a year to a year and a half for a statue to come out from a production company. I honestly, no, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to give an unbiased review. I waited over 2 years to get this statue. This statue was shipped out to the painters March 2 years ago. I actually conceived a child, and my child grew to be 1 year old March 7th before I received the statue. So you do wait, you know, but the wait is worth the wait. If you're a huge Street Fighter fan like myself and you really want a one-of-a-kind paint job like this, you know, that's up to you to weigh in. That's why I'm going to go over everything, you know, all the time frames involved and everything. But look at this. Like, just look at the paint job on it. The eyes, the head, the veins, the shading. The strap is nice and neat. You know, it's not, you know, well, actually, just to show you real quick, looking at, don't mind the messy background, but looking at a poorly painted paint job, I mean, look at that line. It's all, you see like skin, flesh tone, where it should be painted black as a strap, if you can see what I'm talking about. So that's, you know, a one-dimensional paint job. Still not bad for, you know, the retail price, which was $120, you know, so, but that's a one-dimensional paint job, like a pink scar, and it's pretty one-dimensional as opposed to that, which is just like, you know, worlds apart. Just so much better, you know. So you gotta look at what you get, you know, and that paint is just like way too tan, like orangey. Hey, it's an older statue. I'm not trying to slam anything here. I'm just giving a review. Like, this is better, of course. You know, for a quarter scale production piece, that's not bad. You got some shading. It's a production piece produced in China, so you know what I mean. It wasn't painted individually by someone. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely in the middle. You know, like that scar. Let's look at the 3 scars while we're doing this. You got the one-dimensional basic paint job. The scar looks terrible. And then this scar doesn't look as bad. It's you know, it's, pardon the shading, I'm sorry, but it's the room. But that scar doesn't look as bad. You know, it. But then you have that scar, which is painted a hell of a lot better. You know, so you got to take into perspective all of this. So back to the head. It's amazing. It's well done. Very happy with it. Very nice paint job. Very excited to get the Ryu. I have a feeling I'm going to wait a little bit on that too, as that is getting started soon. So the flames, he magnetized them. Did a very good job on the magnet. It's a strong magnet. Now these are kits. Kits come in with imperfections and stuff too, which you don't usually get on production pieces. There's no bubbling and stuff like that. There is bubbling here. You know, usually the painter or assembler has to take care of it and fix it, which, you know, Ed did, you know, as best he could. I mean, like there's stuff like this, like you can see that separation. Obviously, you know, it's a kit. Maybe that could have been filled. You could see the glue and stuff. You know, I'm not taking from it because you don't really look at that, but I mean, yeah, you know, that probably could have been done a little bit better. We're doing unbiased review here. You can see the glue over there too, under the light. But I'm not being nitpicky. I mean, I did pay $300, which was a good price for this paint job. But that probably could have been filled. But in the overall, you don't see it when you display it. You display it, you don't see that at all. It's displayed from the front. The magnet, it goes on. It's a nice strong magnet. It fits perfect. The flames are painted perfectly. Getting them in focus here for you. Just looks awesome with the dark tip at the end of the flame. The shadowing on the back. And the legs. Now when he assembled this guy, he put a little peg under the back foot, so it's not a magnet but a peg. It's a thin peg that goes into the base. Could get into that. The bottom was plain at the bottom. There also, you know, it comes with a this, you know, I could probably glue this myself. But it says sculpted by Eric Sosa, number 17 of 150. You know, that could probably be glued to the bottom of the base. Another critique was maybe there were no felt pads on the bottom of the base. It was just flat. I really don't want to lift them right now. I can, actually, for the sake of the review. Let me take this off. It's kind of hard doing this with just one hand, but there you can see the peg. It's a thin little peg. It's amazing that little peg holds the weight of all this guy, but I do my best to gently place him down and flip this over for you. Pardon the shakiness, but yeah. See, I added the felt pads at the bottom. Maybe for future. I mean, they were $1.99. It's not a big expense at a arts and crafts store, but it is a nice added touch, so you're not scratching the base. And the base was painted very nice too. So overall on the production of the statue, if I was to give it grades, I'm not doing an official statue form review here, but if I was to give it grades, I'd say, production wise with the fills and stuff, maybe an 8. Paint wise, I give it a 10. The paint job is just it's one of the top paint jobs out there that you can get, I think. Looking at it, it looks very good. I'm gonna put you guys down for 1 second while I reposition him. I need both my hands to do that to get him back on the base. But back to what I was talking to you about with the paint job. Yeah, the paint job is just amazing. I give it a solid 10. Production, it's a kit, so you got to deal with little things like that. I don't have many kits that I got from kit makers, so I can't really compare that. Like the glue showing and stuff like that. So, but the paint is everything I wanted. I asked him to do the a slight dirty white kinda for the wraps. Let me get everything back on so you can see him as he should be. And I'm gonna probably stop this video and do a second part because this is going so long, and do a second part with the comparison of the 3. Second video for you newbies out there. Even he got the tiger in there for me, which looks great. Very happy with that. So I'm very happy with this. Happy with Ed's work. Yes, you do have to be patient. He's a busy guy. He took on all the work for PrototypeZ in the beginning, which probably he shouldn't have. Maybe they should have more than one painter, so you wouldn't be waiting that long for the final piece. But patience is a virtue, and this thing looks freaking amazing. So I'm very happy with it. Thank you, Ed. Can't wait to see Ryu. And thank you, Eric Sosa, for sculpting such an amazing piece. Once again, this is the PrototypeZ statue, Street Fighter statue. It's 1/5 scale, and it's true 1/5 scale of Sagat from Street Fighter. Okay, guys, I'll do a separate video for the comparison.